share it. Can you see? Is my screen visible?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Sonu, it is visible.
All right. Okay. So first of all, thank you so much, for giving us this opportunity to present our research work. Quickly, like to introduce myself and the co-authors. Uh, Myself, Sonu Kumar, as you can see it over here. I'm also the corresponding author. I have been working with the AI technology for last 7+ years now, and have been a researcher as well. I have uh, papers published in Frontiers, and also in a process right now with Nature as well. I have a venture based out of the United States named Sporo Health, and I also have a community, AI Anytime, that stemmed out of my YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel called AI Anytime, and now that we have a community over more than 40,000 people across the globe. And what we do, we have like myself here, Venkat, Ritesh, and some of my other teammates that I can't see them right now. They all have been working in the AI space, in different organizations. Some of them work with Deloitte, Capgemini, Involead. Venkat himself has, founded a company, and we have co-authors from IIBs and HRN Block and so on and so forth. So, we all have been working in with AI agents, if I say so right now. If you look at agentic AI is the most hyped, word right now when it comes to AI ecosystem, and everybody is building AI agents. And recently, in last few months, we saw, there have been issues when you work with, let's say, if your entire code stack or the agent stack or LLM stack, whatever you have been working with, is it in one framework? Let's say you have your code written entirely in LangChain or Llama Index, and you have a function which is written completely in a different stack, which kind of does not match or does not compatible with each other. Let's say you cannot use Llama Index code, in your LangChain stack, right? So there was always this issue of incompatibility, and that's how, we saw Anthropic released MCP, Model Context Protocol. Basically, it's a USB connector. That's what Anthropic says. That basically you can connect. Like, how do we connect a C port, right? When we have a USB, we do it for charging and a lot of other things, right? So what MCP does basically is that, irrespective of your you know orchestration frameworks or functions, whatever you have written in any stack, that can be used, that can get connected, or that can be used in your existing stack or any other stack that you have. So that's what, in short, MCP does. And when you want to connect, let's say you want to use MCP, or you want to connect your stack with MCP, Model Context Protocol, right? There's a lot of security issues because MCP supports on a higher level two different types of techniques. One is SSE, and the other is standard input output. If you have a remote server, let's say you have deployed your Python function on Azure cloud or AWS cloud, wherever, which is on a different server, and you have your client, which is your, let's say, your Streamlit application or your Python application, or you are using Claude, for example, Claude for desktop. When you want to connect with each other, there's a lot of security concerns, and that's how we were looking at it. It's a very noble kind of a domain itself, and we hardly had research papers, on this, or research work on this topic, on when it comes to security first layer, right? We call it. So we proposed MCP Guardian, which basically is it's see this like a middleware, okay, that sits within your MCP client and MCP server, right? When they want to connect with each other. Like, let's say you have Claude for desktop, which is nothing but your host, the client, and you have written your function, which is your MCP server, and you want to connect with each other. There might be a scenario that it can expose your API keys. It can jailbreak your client. It can also do prompt injection and so on and so forth. So that's why we proposed MCP Guardian. It's very novel in it in this ecosystem right now, and this is why it matters. I think I already spoke about it. That the entire world is talking about agentic AI, model context protocol, and we talked about the problem, right? So if you look at the current MCP, how it works, it's really open. And now we have been seeing this in industry, like there have been research work, there have been libraries that have been created that support the security part of MCP. But I think we have been working for this, I think last few months. And security risk when we work with MCP, as I said, tool poisoning. Let's say you have a GitHub MCP server. Somebody has built an MCP server called GitHub MCP server, and that wants to connect with your, let's say, Cloud for Desktop or any other MCP client. There might be scenario that somebody wants to do a tool poisoning on the GitHub side, right? They can take access to your repository. They can kind of can do n number of things. So you can have different types of tool poisoning with different malicious prompts, fake tool names. Like for example, somebody creates, let's say, GitHub MCP, Tavelai MCP, or any MCP, and they just made the name fake, and underlying that MCP server, there's code which can access your system, can hack your system, right? So fake tool names can also be a threat. Command injection, because if you look at nowadays, we are talking about computer operated agent like the COAs, right? Where or computer operator agent like Claude had has that as well. OpenAI has operator agent and so on and so forth. They say that they can access your system, right? You have been seeing this right now with tools like Windsurf or Cursor or any kind of vibe coding tools, right? They can access your entire system as well. And they can also inject some commands that can, of course, do a lot of nuisance thing in your machine, right? Let's say somebody takes access to our C drive, right, by injecting some command. That will be really risky. And of course, API credentials, token theft, sandboxing, etc. These are like very primary. Like it has been happening since we have seen the rise with ChatGPT and so on and so forth. So we have identified n numbers of attack vectors, and we kind of compiled it in sort in our paper. Of course, you can see that. Uh, and that's how MCP Guardian kind of stemmed out. We kind of proposed this framework where we created this middleware that secures any MCP powered system. It has few components. Like we are looking at the role-based accesses, authentication criterias. We have time limits, rate limiting. Like rate limiting is also really important. To kind of find out if somebody is bombarding your server or whatnot, right? So rate limiting. We have web app firewall scanning, and of course, these are available in detail in our paper. We'll walk through it. And we definitely believe about when it comes to agentic AI, we believe in the observability. I think when you want to build a responsible AI system, we have to look at end-to-end logging and traceability to find out what's really happening. Is there a LLM drift? Is there something LLM is not behaving well for whatever reasons, right? And you should find out everything, whatever you can trace it. So these are some of the components, starting from authentications to web scanning to traceability. That's what MCP Guardian kind of consists of. You can see a high-level architecture, of MCP Guardian over here. This is available. This has been taken from our paper that we've submitted. You can see we have an AI or LLM client, because I want to make it a bit generalized. So let's say we have an LLM client, that sends a JSON request, because that's what it does. MCP is based out of JSON RPC, right? And somebody makes a JSON request when you fire the LLM client, either on your SSC, which is on the server side, or even locally if you are using standard input output. And then we have the MCP Guardian layer that sits between the client and the server. And this MCP Guardian, you can see the internal validation step. So this uh, package or the framework, I'll say in general, because you already have been working on creating a library, but this framework, is kind of consist of these components, as I already talked about it: authentications, rate limiting, logging, and web scanning, right? It finds out if anything abusive is there, anything malicious is there, it automatically blocks your request and send it back to the client. So it's a very high level. That's how we explain it. So you can see uh, you can also see this as more of a guardrails, but for MCP. Okay, like we have been talking about guardrails, in general. So that's what it is. You can see it's like an API security layer and purpose built for LLM. That's what we have been saying, right? So on a very high level, this is how it works. We have been, of course, we are thinking to make the code open source. We have been working on to improve the library. Right now we are going to create an MCP Guardian library, and we'll see what we want to name the library. Maybe we want to change the name, probably. So you can see this is how it can get initiated. Just few lines of code, right? You have and these are some of the samples, because valid tokens will not be XYZ. of course, you will have some kind of logic over there, what kind of technique you are using for authentications, and you can have rate limiting. Let's say single agent, if you're working in your MCP server and wants to connect with a client, how many times it can request if there's something fail, right? So you can see that. And then we have a log file that, of course, logs everything. And of course, that gets visualized later on that if anything is going wrong. And you can just invoke that tool. You can see Guardian dot guarded invoke tool. So very simple when it comes to coding nomenclature, how one can use our framework. Yeah, and we have tested it. Myself is a huge tester when it comes to vulnerabilities and prompt injection. And I think in our team we have some of the best prompt engineers that I know. Like for example, Ritesh, he's like really good in prompt engineering. Venkat is really good in prompt engineering, right? So we have seen this, tested it out. Prompt injection that has been blocked by our web application firewalls. We have unauthorized tokens. I think API. Like these tools expose your API. There was a news recently that Cursor had kind of through Cursor there was a lot of super base keys were kind of exposed, so that's a big concern. And high frequency denial of service that we have seen it. The only caveat when you use or you want to use MCP Guardian is the latency, but I think that should be a decent looking at the security concerns. It has a 2 to 3 milliseconds of overhead. It takes a bit of time, when you want to use this server. But I think that should be a trade-off when it comes to this kind of thing. So I think that's what it is. Future ready, as I said, right? We are working on it. This is a baseline. Okay, we want to go to zero trust architecture, and you will hear from us very soon, right? Because our team is working on uh, zero trust architecture for AI agent, because Venkat himself is a cybersecurity certified analyst, and we are bringing up this architecture for AI agents where we can make the AI agents really secure, in your enterprise settings. And this is what we are right now working on. We are uh, you know working on sandboxing the containers. We are creating some cryptographic based toolings, that will be signed through your end-to-end supply chain, like from the server to the client and everything. And of course, we are working with OpenTelemetry, looking at some alternative options for LLM reasoning traces. And there's a forecasting also. We want to do it based on all the logs that we collect, right? We can find out anomalies within those logs, and we can also forecast for future events. So that's what we are also doing it. And why this work matters, I think AI is moving from answering questions to taking action. Now the agents can reason, they can think, they can act, and they can do almost everything. And I think MCP was the last thing that ecosystem has kind of embarrassed. Like I'll not say, excuse me, sorry for that word. I think MCP, that the community has kind of embraced, where we have started using MCP. And we haven't seen anything after MCP. If you look at, there have been different protocols. So I think MCP is kind of it has really good potential to kind of connect with multiple servers, client, existing systems, and mainly for enterprises, because they have their stack already developed in last 2 3 years. They cannot replace stacks every month. So MCP is like help them connect with different kind of systems or different kind of data sources. MCP Guardian, as I said, it's a novel framework, novel research framework. It's a blueprint and has been really appreciated by the ecosystem. We already did a preprint on archive. People kind of appreciated it on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, X nowadays. And we want to take this MCP Guardian to next step through zero trust agentic AI. And of course, once that is ready, we will of course bring that in front of community. I'd like to thank all my teammates. Just for information, right? AI Anytime is a not-for-profit organization. It's completely an open source focused community, self-funded. We do it because we are passionate about AI and nowadays agentic AI. We have contributors from some of the world's best companies, Fortune 500 companies, consulting firms. You can see Capgemini, Deloitte, some startups, Sporo Health, Involead. We have people from academia. We have from IIT Roorkee. That's also a great help. We have new ventures coming up, Kodryx AI, and we also have people from IIBs and HNR Block. If you want to support our research work, reach out to us. Of course, you can reach out to aianytime.net. That's what our website is. You can also reach out to me. You can write it to us. if anybody is interested in the project documentations to want it understand more, and also they are interested in our code, they can also reach out to us. They can request us very quickly. Like this is the paper that of course available on as a preprint, but of course this is what we have submitted, and you can go through it. I'm not going to go deep into it. I'll take a pause and see if there's any is there any questions, or if you are done that. I think I will just end it up over here. And of course, before I end it, thank you so much to all the organizers, to the conference team for giving us this opportunity. It was pleasure, and I think we'll be back soon with other research work that we are doing. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Sonu. It was a great work. I, is there
Thank
any
you.
questions from forum? Yeah, I think there is no question. Thank you once again.
Absolutely fine. Have a good day. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Yeah.